The awakening Captain Marcus Stone wiped the sweat from his brow as he surveyed the mining operation on New Horizon. The twin suns cast long shadows across the crystalline deposits that had made this outer rim colony prosperous beyond anyone's wildest dreams. For 15 years he'd overseen the extraction of rare minerals that powered Earth's peaceful civilization. It was honest work, far from the political machinations of the inner worlds. "Another successful harvest, Captain," called out his deputy Rodriguez as the massive extractors hummed their familiar tune. "We're ahead of quota again this month." Marcus nodded, but something nagged at him. The long-range sensors had been picking up unusual energy signatures for weeks now, patterns that didn't match any known stellar phenomena. During the 1,000 years of peace, humanity had grown comfortable, perhaps too comfortable. Space was vast and mostly empty, they'd learned. The galaxy belonged to those patient enough to claim it. That afternoon, everything changed. The first sign was the silence. The mining equipment simply stopped, their power cores mysteriously drained. Then came the shadow. A massive ship, larger than anything in human records, blotting out the primary sun. Its hull was black as the void between stars, covered in angular designs that hurt to look at directly. "My God," whispered Rodriguez, staring up at the impossible sight. "What is that?" Before Marcus could answer, the ship spoke. Not through their communications array, but directly into their minds, a voice like grinding metal and dying stars. "Humans, you have grown fat in your isolation. The Vorthak Empire has returned to reclaim what was always ours." Marcus felt ice in his veins. The Vorthak, he'd heard whispers in ancient texts, legends dismissed as mythology. A race of conquerors who had supposedly vanished from the galaxy centuries before humanity's golden age began. "This sector, this system belongs to us now," the voice continued. "Your resistance will be brief." The attack came without warning. Energy beams lanced down from the ship, vaporizing entire sections of the mining complex. Marcus watched in horror. As friends and colleagues, people who'd never known war, never imagined such brutality, were reduced to ash in seconds. "Emergency evacuation," he screamed over the chaos. "All civilians to the transport ships." But the Vorthak ship had deployed smaller fighters, sleek predators that moved like hungry sharks through the fleeing transports. One by one, the escape vessels exploded in brilliant flowers of flame and debris. Marcus grabbed the emergency beacon, his hands shaking as he activated the quantum relay. "This is Captain Marcus Stone of New Horizon Colony," he broadcast toward Earth. "We are under attack by an unknown hostile force calling themselves the Vorthak Empire. They claim ownership of human space. Colony is lost. Repeat, colony is lost. They're coming for all of us." As the mining station crumbled around him, Marcus made a promise that would echo through the coming war. Humanity had forgotten how to fight, but they would remember. They had to remember. The galaxy was about to rediscover why humans had once been feared among the stars. The Resistance Dr. Zara Okafor had spent most of her career studying dead civilizations, not preparing for war. The xenobiologist's hands trembled as she accessed the restricted archives deep beneath Geneva's orbital platform. Captain Stone's transmission had reached Earth 3 days ago, and the Global Council was still debating whether to believe it. "Impossible," Director Lawson had declared. 1,000 years of peace and suddenly we have galaxy-spanning conquerors? Stone must have encountered pirates or rogue AI. But Zara knew better. The energy signatures in Stone's data matched fragments she'd found in pre-peace archaeological sites, places where humanity's earliest space explorers had left cryptic warnings about the ones who claimed the stars before us. The archives revealed humanity's hidden shame. Before the Great Peace, Earth had been a warrior civilization, expanding aggressively through local space. They'd encountered the Vorthak Empire and fought a brutal war that lasted decades. The peace hadn't come from humanity's enlightenment, it came from a treaty. Humanity agreed to contain themselves to their small corner of the galaxy, while the Vorthak retreated to distant sectors. The millennium of peace had been a test period, and now the Vorthak had returned to see if humanity remained worthy of consideration, or ripe for harvest. We have to warn the Council, Zara told her assistant Dr. Park as they reviewed the damning evidence. Earth's defenses are designed for show, not war. We're sitting ducks. Before Park could respond, alarms shrieked through the station. Through the viewing ports, Zara watched in horror as massive ships, identical to the one Stone had described, emerged from hyperspace. Dozens of them, their angular hulls bristling with weapons that belonged in nightmares. The attack was surgical. Earth's orbital defense platforms, magnificent monuments to human engineering, were dismantled piece by piece. The Vorthak weren't trying to destroy Earth. They were demonstrating their superiority, showing humanity its place in the cosmic hierarchy. Zara escaped to the underground bunkers as Geneva's platform burned above. In the cramped emergency command center, survivors huddled around communication arrays receiving reports of similar attacks worldwide. The Vorthak weren't invading. They were culling, testing humanity's response. They're studying us, Zara realized, analyzing the attack patterns. Every strike is calculated to provoke maximum psychological impact while preserving infrastructure. They want to see how we react under pressure. General Morrison, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, looked at her with desperate eyes. Then what do they want, Doctor? Zara pulled up the ancient files, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Respect. The Vorthak are a warrior culture. They don't negotiate with the weak, they consume them. But strength, defiance, that they understand. She began uploading psychological profiles to the remaining defense networks. We need to stop running scared and start fighting back. Not to win. We can't win a conventional war, but to prove we're still the species they once considered equals. Outside, Earth burned, but in the bunkers, humanity's forgotten warrior spirit began to stir. Once more. The reckoning Lieutenant Kai Nakamura had never fired a weapon in anger before 3 weeks ago. Born during the golden age of peace, he'd joined the Earth Defense Corps expecting ceremonial duties and rescue operations. Now strapped into the cockpit of humanity's newest fighter, he led a squadron of pilots who'd learned warfare through necessity and blood. Phoenix Squadron, this is Control, crackled Dr. Okafor's voice through the comm. Intelligence confirms. The Vorthak command vessel is the key. Their fleet coordination depends on the flagship's neural network. Take it down, and their perfect synchronization collapses. Kai's squadron consisted of 20 pilots. Teachers, engineers, artists who'd answered the call when Earth's professional military was decimated in the first wave. They flew ships hastily converted from civilian transports, armed with weapons, that were more hope than steel. Remember, Kai addressed his pilots, we're not trying to destroy their ship. We're proving we deserve to exist. The final battle erupted across Earth's solar system. Marcus Stone arrived with the ragged survivors from 12 outer colonies, their ships patched together with salvaged parts and desperation. His mining vessels, never meant for combat, bristled with improvised weapons. Stone to all units, Marcus's weathered voice cut through the chaos. We've got one shot at this. The Vorthak expect us to cower, to beg for mercy. Let's show them what 1,000 years of peace really built. The strength to choose when to fight. The Vorthak fleet was magnificent and terrible, their formations perfect, their movements synchronized like a cosmic ballet of death. But Zara's psychological analysis had revealed their weakness. The Vorthak respected individual courage above tactical brilliance. Kai broke formation, his fighter screaming toward the massive command ship alone. Behind him, his squadron followed, not because of orders but because of example. They flew like humans had always fought, chaotically, unpredictably, driven by something the Vorthak's perfect coordination couldn't calculate. The flagship's defenses were impenetrable to conventional assault. But Kai wasn't thinking conventionally. He activated his ship's emergency beacon, the same quantum relay technology that had carried Stone's warning, and overloaded it, turning his fighter into a massive electromagnetic pulse. The blast tore through the Vorthak ship's neural networks, severing the psychic links that bound their fleet together. For the first time in millennia, Vorthak ships operated independently, their perfect unity shattered. Now, Stone shouted. While they're confused, Earth's motley fleet, miners, scientists, peacekeepers turned warriors struck with everything they had. Not the coordinated assault of a military machine, but the desperate fury of a species refusing to die quietly. When the smoke cleared, the Vorthak flagship hung dead in space. But the alien commander's final transmission echoed across all frequencies. Humans. You have remembered what you were. The treaty is renewed. The galaxy recognizes your strength once more. Kai floated in his damaged cockpit, watching as the surviving Vorthak ships withdrew to the outer system, not in defeat, but in acknowledgement. Humanity had passed the test. The 1,000 years of peace were over. But humanity had earned something far more valuable than tranquility. They had earned their place among the stars as equals, not subjects. The galaxy would never underestimate them again. The new dawn. 5 years had passed since the Vorthak trials, as historians now called humanity's test of worthiness. Ambassador Lydia Chen stood on the observation deck of humanity's first interstellar embassy, watching alien vessels from 17 different species dock at the massive orbital station above Proxima Centauri. The galaxy had changed. Or perhaps, humanity's place in it had finally been revealed. The Zephyrian delegation is requesting additional security protocols, reported her aide, Commander Torres, a veteran of the Vorthak conflict who'd traded his pilot's wings for diplomatic credentials. Apparently, they're still nervous about human unpredictability. Lydia smiled. That unpredictability, the same chaotic courage that had impressed the Vorthak, was now humanity's greatest diplomatic asset. While other species negotiated through rigid hierarchies and predetermined responses, humans brought innovation and adaptability to galactic politics. Tell them we'll provide standard security, nothing more, she decided. They need to learn that strength doesn't require armor. The transformation hadn't been easy. Earth's population had struggled with the revelation that their 1,000 years of peace had been orchestrated isolation. Many felt betrayed, learning their golden age was built on a lie. Others embraced the truth. Humanity had always been warriors, but they'd chosen to be builders instead. Captain Marcus Stone, now Admiral of the Colonial Defense Fleet, had become a legend. His mining expertise proved invaluable in establishing humanity's first true interstellar colonies, not the isolated outposts of the past, but thriving worlds that served as bridges between species. His latest report sat on Lydia's desk. 17 new colonies established, each one a testament to human resilience. Dr. Zara Okafor had founded the Institute for Interspecies Psychology, her groundbreaking work during the Vorthak crisis earning her recognition as the galaxy's foremost expert on cross-cultural communication. Her research centers operated on 6 worlds, teaching diplomats and traders how to navigate the complex web of galactic civilization. But it was Kai Nakamura's legacy that perhaps mattered most. Now director of the Galactic Defense Academy, he trained pilots from dozens of species, sharing humanity's unique approach to warfare, fighting not just with technology, but with heart. His students learned that true strength came from knowing what you were willing to die for. The transformation extended beyond individuals. Earth's cities buzzed with alien commerce and culture. Children grew up speaking 3 languages, playing games invented on distant worlds, dreaming of careers among the stars. The isolation was truly over. Ambassador, Torres interrupted her thoughts. The Vorthak envoy has arrived for the anniversary ceremony. Lydia nodded, straightening her formal robes. Today marked exactly 5 years since humanity's trial, and the Vorthak Empire was hosting a ceremony to commemorate what they called the awakening of the sleeping warriors. In the ceremonial hall, beings from across the galaxy gathered. The Vorthak envoy, a towering figure in ceremonial armor, approached Lydia with something approaching respect. Ambassador Chen, the alien's voice resonated through her translator. 5 years ago, we wondered if humanity still possessed the fire that once made them our equals. Today, we know the answer. Lydia met the alien's gaze steadily. We never lost our fire. We simply learned to bank the coals until they were needed. As the ceremony concluded, Lydia looked out at the stars. no longer distant lights, but destinations. Humanity had finally come home to the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as the warriors-turned-builders they had always been meant to be. The 1,000 years of silence were over. Now, humanity's true story could begin. The final testament 50 years after the Vorthak trials, Grand Historian Naya Volkov stood before the Great Assembly of Species, preparing to deliver humanity's final contribution to galactic civilization. At 93, she was among the last, living witnesses to the transformation that had reshaped the galaxy itself. The assembly hall stretched beyond sight, filled with beings from over 200 worlds, species that had emerged from isolation, inspired by humanity's example. The age of scattered, fearful civilizations was ending. In its place rose something unprecedented, a true galactic community. Honored delegates, Naya began, her voice carried across the vast chamber by quantum translators. I stand before you to deliver the final testament, humanity's last gift to the galaxy. Behind her, holographic displays showed the transformation of the past half-century. The Vorthak Empire had evolved from conquerors to mentors, their warrior culture adapting, to guide younger species through their own trials of worthiness. Captain Stone's mining colonies had become thriving worlds where dozens of species lived in harmony. Dr. Okafor's psychological research had prevented 17 potential wars through understanding rather than force. But it was Kai Nakamura's legacy that had changed everything. His defense academy hadn't just trained pilots, it had created a new philosophy of strength. Graduates carried a simple creed to every corner of the galaxy. Fight not to dominate, but to protect. Win not to conquer, but to preserve. The testament is this, Naya continued, as beings across the chamber leaned forward to listen. We discovered that peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the wisdom to choose your battles. For 1,000 years we thought we had achieved peace through isolation. We were wrong. True peace comes through connection, through standing together when darkness rises. The hologram shifted to show the galaxy's current state. Trade routes connected distant worlds. Joint scientific expeditions explored the cosmic frontier. Cultural exchanges enriched billions of lives. Most importantly, a network of mutual defense. Treaties ensured that no species would face extinction alone. The Vorthak taught us that strength without purpose is meaningless, Naya said, her eyes finding the Vorthak delegation in the assembly. But we taught them something in return. That purpose without compassion is hollow. The elderly Vorthak commander, now bearing scars from 50 years of honorable service protecting smaller species, rose and bowed deeply. It was a gesture unthinkable in their warrior culture before humanity's influence. Today marks the end of humanity's special role as bridge builders, Naya announced. We have accomplished our purpose. The galaxy no longer needs guardians or guides. It has become a family. She paused, allowing the weight of the moment to settle across the chamber. This is our final testament. Every species in this galaxy possesses the capacity for both creation and destruction. The choice between them is not determined by strength or technology, but by the courage to remember that we are all connected. The stars that gave birth to your worlds are the same stars that shine on ours. As Naya concluded, representatives from 200 worlds rose in unison, not in applause but in a moment of silent recognition. The galaxy had grown up. The age of tests and trials was over. Later, alone in her quarters aboard the assembly station, Naya looked out at the stars. No longer distant lights, but homes to friends, allies, and family. Humanity's greatest victory hadn't been surviving the Vorthak trials. It had been teaching the galaxy that survival meant nothing without something worth surviving for. The 1,000 years of silence had ended not with a roar of conquest, but with the quiet wisdom of understanding. Humanity's voice would echo through the cosmos not as conquerors or victims, but as the species that reminded the galaxy how to hope. The testament was complete. The galaxy was whole.